first of all, thank you so much for coming. I'm Christi Reynolds. You're here for, I hope, Traveling on a Budget with Motorcycle Travel Network. And as I said, I'm Christi Reynolds. I'm always so worried. Probably some of you I recruited at the booth and said, please come, because I'm always worried nobody's going to show up and I'm going to be talking to 3 people in the back. So I really appreciate you coming. So first of all, I would like to introduce you to my son Z. He is our website developer. And did Jessica and Jimmy leave? Well, the 2 that were standing at the door handing stuff out, that was my daughter Jessica and my grandson Jimmy. So it's very much a family affair, what we're doing here. So but first of all, I'm going to be talking to you about Motorcycle Travel Network. Then I'm going to give you all of my other sort of like budget travel tips. So Motorcycle Travel Network, the genesis for this, basically how we got started. 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, my husband retired, and then I was teaching, and I quit teaching, and we took off on our bikes for 2 years. That was our plan. We're going to take off and go travel for 2 years on our motorcycles. We didn't really make it 2 years because we ran on money, but we made it a year and a half, and we had a great time in that year and a half. It was really fun and fantastic. Before that, of course, you do a lot of planning before you take off for a year and a half. And I was an avid budget travel reader. I loved that magazine. I don't think it's around anymore, but I would read it religiously. And they had this big catalog book that they put out one time, and they talked about hosting organizations. I had never heard of them, but I was like, basically you belong and you go and stay with other members. And I was like, well, that sounds pretty cool. So we immediately signed up for 3 different hosting organizations. One of them is no longer. It was a Educators Bed and Breakfast Network, and it was for teachers, hosting teachers. So the first night out, my husband and I, we're in Indiana. My husband and I went up to stay with a couple in northern Wisconsin, kind of up by Duluth. And they weren't motorcyclists. We show up and park the bikes, get off the bikes and everything, and he takes us and kind of shows us around and takes us out to the barn, if I remember correctly, and we see the horses and all of this, and he's just telling us about the area and all of that. Takes us to the room, and we're going to sleep on a sleep number bed. Well, 20 years ago, what's a sleep number bed? This was fantastic. And so I'd like to say we slept well, and we did once my husband finally managed to figure out what his number was, because there was a whole lot of adjusting for a while. The next morning we get up. Actually, it wasn't a couple. The wife was gone, and so we get up the next morning. The husband has fixed a breakfast casserole, and I'm like, "You man's cooking breakfast for me. How good does that get?" So, and we gave him a $20 gratuity. And he sent us on the way. And we were like, well, that was just the coolest thing ever. And so then we just started trying to use it as many times as we could. We get out to, we actually went all the way up to Alaska, put our bikes on the ferry, came down. Now we're in Gig Harbor, Washington. And there were a bunch of members, because one of the hosting organizations, they started there. And so we asked all of these people, can you host us? We're on a 2-year motorcycle trip. And all of them came back, except for one. All of them came back and said, oh, that sounds like an amazing trip. I wish we could, but we're not going to be home or whatever. One said, yes, we would love to host you. And then the founder of the organization said, well, how are you able to host if you're out traveling? And I was like, well, somebody's got to be out traveling for there to be somebody to host, right? Yeah. I was like, something's not jiving here. And so back and forth with her. We got into a little bit of a war of words or whatever. And I got this sense that she kind of, I don't know, thought that we were like these dirty bikers or something, that were trying to sully her precious organization or whatever. And so the upshot was she wrote to the whole membership and said that they could not host us. and told the person that was willing to host us that if they hosted us that they would get kicked out of the organization. And I thought, well, that's pretty damn bold, telling somebody who they can and can't have in their home. It's their home, you know. So we go on and we're thinking, this is crazy, because we belong to the organization was for people over 50. This one was for people over 40. The Educators Bed and Breakfast Network. But there are other organizations out there. There's one it's still going for bicyclists called Warm Showers. There's a women's only. There's a gay and lesbian. There's one called a Servas, and it's like a service-oriented one. At that time there was even one for tandem bicyclists. And I was like, all 12 tandem bicyclists? I mean, how many tandem bicyclists do you guys see? You know, so I was just like, I don't understand. But there wasn't one for motorcyclists. And we're like, why isn't there one for, we're the ones out traveling. We need this. So we started it. In the middle of our 2-year trip, we started it. And we were going along, we were building up our network. Now remember, this was 2005 at this point, and this was before smartphones. Remember that time? And we didn't have a printed directory, which was a frustration to a lot of them, because they were like, well, you know, I don't carry my laptop with me. And we were like, stop in the library, in the local library. Remember those days when you would stop in the local library to use the computer, you know? So anyway, we were going along building up the business. I had to go, when we got back, I had to go back to work because somebody had to work at that point. And so I went back to work, my husband took it over. Long story short, he got sick and wasn't able to manage it. We let the website go for quite a while, and then my husband passed away 3 years ago, and my son and I decided 2 years ago that we were going to reboot Motorcycle Travel Network, and that's what we've done. So now I call it MTN 2.0, and so we have the new network, and it works differently because of that great thing called a smartphone, and also because of the internet and everything else, and it's much easier for you to get online. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through the website first, and then we'll go through and you guys can ask questions. Don't wait to ask questions at the end. If there's something that comes up, just yell or whatever. So, all right. So the first thing is as a guest. Wait, before I do that, let me check my notes because I sometimes forget to bring things in. Okay, so first things first. So as a guest, first thing that you do as a member, because you're not just a guest, you're a member guest. First thing that you're going to do is you're going to log in, and you're going to go over here to this thing, which my son calls a hamburger menu, which I never heard, but I think that's a pretty clever name for it. And then you're going to scroll down here to the member directory, and you're going to click on that. And what's going to come up is the map. And you're going to see where we have members. So you can search on the map and zoom in. And we're going to zoom into Indiana because that's where I am. And this is actually me down here. So I'm going to show you mine. So you can either click on that or you can click on this square, and then you're going to see my listing. And every member has to have this type of a listing. There's 4 photos required, and it's going to tell you the different things that I can offer. So you notice though that it's saying I'm in Columbus, Indiana, but you don't see where in Columbus, Indiana. This is sort of like Airbnb. You know where I am basically, but you don't know exactly where I am. There's no contact information on here. I don't have my phone number or anything else on here. And Columbus is a small town. I'm in a condo. I can take 2 guests, and I have 1 guest room. And then there's a little bit about me and my profile picture. So then as you scroll down, you can click on the pictures to enlarge them. But as you scroll down, again, you see whereabouts, not exactly where, but whereabouts I am. The amenities that I have to offer, and then things like I don't smoke, guests can smoke outside, I have a dog, he's inside, pets are welcome, children are not, and steps and stairs are involved, and last minute requests are okay. And they say, it says okay or not okay or prefer, because some people are like, I don't know where I'm going to be next week. Don't ask me way in advance. So you've got a good sense of what it is that I have to offer. What I didn't show you is, I'm going to back up here for a minute. Nope. Up here, you can see what type of bedding it is that I have to offer. This is actually a day bed that makes into a king-size bed. But if it's a futon in the office, you want to know that it's a futon in the office. You may not be able to sleep on that. Or if it's a fold-out in the basement, you want to know that it's a fold-out in the basement. So we want to make sure that you know what it is that where you're requesting to stay, or what you have to offer. Okay? So it doesn't have to be like a separate room. It just needs to be, we say there has to be some element of privacy. We have some members that are like single, that they just have like a one-bedroom apartment, and what they do is they let the guest stay in their bedroom and they sleep on the couch, so that they can be a part of this. So we just want to make sure that it's clear what each person has to offer. All right, and so then at the bottom of the page, once you're a member, at the bottom of a page there's the request to stay. Now it says Brian's, it shouldn't, but anyway. And so you put in the date and for how many days and how many people. And of course, on the how many days, most people are going to just be one day because they're traveling or whatever. But you don't have to be on a motorcycle to be using this. What you have in common with everybody is that you're a motorcyclist. So you might be staying 2 days or whatever, or there might be something going on and you're in that area. But we say, like, that old adage of 3 days, what is it, fish and house guests stink after 3 days or whatever, which I think is the strangest thing, because fish stinks way before 3 days. So, and how many people, and then you write a blurb about what you're doing. If you're in a car, you make sure you tell them you're in a car. If you're trailering or whatever. So, because not everybody does travel by motorcycle, or that some of them trailer their bikes or whatever. So just make sure that the host knows, because if you are traveling by motorcycle, they're probably going to take their car out of the garage and have you park in there, because they know you're going to appreciate that. But if you're in a car, you can park out in the driveway. And so as soon as you hit stay request, you'll get a thing that says that it was sent. And so then, now the host then gets both an email and a text message saying you have a stay request. They've requested to stay with you. So you have to then log in to accept or decline. And you can either log in from the email or you can log in from the text message. And the first thing that will pop up as soon as you log in, before anything, the first thing that pops up is your stay request. So then the next thing that you can do, the nice thing about this is, you can then click on the profile, because everybody is a member, everybody is a host. You click on the profile of the person requesting the stay, and then you can see their listing, so you can, and read about them. So you can get a sense of who they are before you decide whether you want to stay, whether you want to accept or decline the request. So you get a sense of the people that would be hosting. So if you accept it, they immediately get a stay request. They get the acceptance. And so we've blocked all of this out, but it would have, at that point, once the member has accepted the request, then the information of where their address, their email, their phone number, then that is shared. And at that point, then the members contact each other when MTN is out, and then the members contact each other to make sure everybody's on the same page. And that's the one good thing about Motorcycle Travel Network, is that everybody's a motorcyclist, so they know that sometimes we don't make it where we think we're going to be, but when we think we're going to be there. Things come up, weather and certain things. So if it's declined, then we just suggest that they search for other hosts in the area. And we're kind of spread out, but some places we have a lot a lot of hosts. So now what I'm going to do is, this is once you're a member. That's what you do once you're a member. Now I'm going to sort of run you through the membership application and like what all is involved in that. It's not extensive except for one part, which I'm not really sure why, but so again, this is where you would put in all that information. We do put in what you ride. We have all faiths and religions as far as motorcycles go. We're non-denominational is what I like to say. So we have a lot of BMW and a lot of Goldwing riders because that's who we originally marketed to, because they were the ones that were doing the most traveling, and also they had the rallies, and so we would come to the rallies. Put in what you ride, and then a little bit about yourself. And then now here, we do have some people, and you can see it says host free. And that's because we do have people, they just like hosting. They like opening their home. It's sort of like in the anonymous book where people put lodging, you know, they're happy to help out. And they really enjoy hosting. So we're not going to charge you a membership fee to be a host. If you're willing to open your home, that's great, because we need hosts. So the only membership fee is if you decide that you want to use it to travel. And right now our membership fee is $35 a year. And if you sign up here, there is a code, and I don't know if we have that anywhere. We didn't write it down on anything. There's a code which is 10 off, which is like the number 10OFF. And so when you sign up, the next thing that you do, so if you say get the membership because you want to be able to visit as well, then you'll be taken to the payment page, and it's, like I said, it's $35. And then right here there's add promotion code. And this is an old promotion code. The new one is 10 off. And then you fill that out, and then it'll take you back to the rest of the application. So at that point, you put in your address, you put in the accommodations, the settings, and then you add a guest room. And so even if it's not like a separate room, like if it's the office or whatever it is, you need, and like I said, we do want some sort of privacy. So it does need to be something. But anyway, so you put that in, and then you also put in what size of bed, and I think is it right that there's like, we have like fold out and, right, like futon and, yeah. Yeah, right? You don't think we do? I think we do. Okay, you look. And then we have shared bath. And so that now says, it says private. If it doesn't necessarily mean that the bathroom is within the bedroom. It just means that they're going to be the only ones using it. And so we have, and then, but some of our people have like two rooms that they are offering. And so they may share with the other room if there's like two couples traveling or whatever. But then we also have shared with host. So if there's only one bathroom and you're going to be sharing it with the host, you'll know that. And then, and you can add however many guest rooms, whatever that you might have. The next thing, these are the amenities. And you know, if you think of an amenity that we don't have on there, just let me know. Some people, they will put camping available, but you can't just have camping available as your accommodations, because there's another organization out there that's fine. And so anyway, so there's lots of different things here. And then this is where you put in the good to know information. And this is where everything comes to a screeching halt for some reason. You have to upload 4 photos. There are 4 photos that are required. Front of the house, the guest room, the guest bath, and a common space. And you just pick the common space. You can add more, you can add as many pictures as you want. And we have some people that they put where the bikes are going to be parked, or they put more outside pictures, or they put a picture of their pet, or whatever. You put as many pictures in there, but please just send me these 4. And like, I make it as easy as possible. You can upload them, but if you have any difficulty, I'm gonna send you my phone number. You can walk around your house, take 4 pictures, text them to me. You can email them to me. I will get your pictures uploaded for you, I promise. Just send them to me. And you're probably wondering why I'm like begging like this. It's because we have 250 active members and we have 125 members who have done everything, even uploaded a photo or 2, and they're missing like 2 photos, and I can't activate their account, and it's driving me crazy. I'm like, where do you live? I'm just gonna come and take the pictures myself. I'm like, look, I know you have a smartphone. I know you have a smartphone. Walk around and take a picture and just send it to me, text it to me. So this is why I keep going on and on about the photos. And then it'll go to pending. Once you have everything in, it goes to pending, then I review it. And this is another sort of like a security feature. A couple of things that I do is I look at the address, and then I compare what the front of the house looks like in Google Earth. So I look at Google Earth to sort of make sure that the address that you're giving me is the address of where you actually are going to be hosting. And then because you paid a membership fee, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to match the credit card address to the address that you gave me. So it's just a way to just get a little extra security. We don't do any other sort of like vetting of the people, but we want to just make sure that everything is on the up and up as far as that goes. And so then as soon as everything looks good, I'm going to activate the account. Because we have had some people that they've uploaded 4 photos, but it's not the 4 photos that are required. And so it looks like, oh, this is great, but it's a picture of them out riding, or, I actually had somebody who uploaded a photo, what was it? It was like a bucket, and they put it under the guest bath. And I was like, that's not gonna fly, sorry. So that's basically it's not complicated. It's a lot of clicking, except for the descriptions, and there's very little of that, and then uploading the photos. Are there any questions so far? Yes?
So it says you have to stay for 2 days. Do you give them the key to your house, or?
You don't have to.
You have to watch them when you're in?
It's up to you. I mean, it's your house, whatever you're comfortable with. I've had people say, well, do we have to be there? And I'm like, nope, it's your house, whatever you're comfortable with. And other people are like, well, hell no, I'm not giving them my key, so it's up to you. I mean, it is, again, I think because, we got kicked out and the people can't host, I'm like, it's your home. You decide. Everybody's a member, they decide what they're comfortable with. So, most of the time, there's not a need for that, but if they were staying for longer or whatever, then yeah. I mean, I will say this, we used it, one of our members for the Minneapolis, St. Paul, when we had the rally there, we stayed with one of our members, and he was a criminal defense attorney. So if you think anybody's gonna be suspicious, you would think it would be a criminal defense attorney. And he was, listen, I got to be up and out early, so just lock up on your way out. And he left. We got up in the morning. He had set out breakfast, a little note that said there are berries in the fridge. And I was like, oh, how sweet is that, And he didn't care, so, we're pretty trusting. I mean, you see somebody if somebody called you from the anonymous book, I mean, you're going to go help them, right? So how many people have used the anonymous book? Yeah, me too. Saved my bacon on more than one account. How many have been called from the anonymous book? Yeah, it's a great thing. I like to say MTN is like if the anonymous book and Airbnb had a baby, is basically what it is. It's member driven, and we put each other up for the night, feed you breakfast. Any questions? Yes?
How much is it for the member to stay at the host house?
$20. So $20 gratuity. So that's a good question. I was just about to go over that. So it's a gratuity. We want to make sure that everybody understands it's a gratuity. As soon as the guest arrives, they offer the $20 to the host. They offer it. okay? Because again, the host isn't going to ask for it because it's not a fee. So it is the responsibility of the guest to offer it. And some of our hosts don't want your $20, or they'll just donate it or whatever. I usually accept it because I fix a big breakfast. And so, yeah, I'll take the $20 because I'm going to fix you a big breakfast. That said, I'm going to fix you a big breakfast between 9 and 10. I am not an early riser, and if you want breakfast before that, I'm going to set it out. You can get it on your way out, because I work second shift is what I tell people. Great question. So after the stay, we send both the host and the guest a stay review, and then they let us know how it went. And I think they put stars on, right? But we don't add that to anybody's listing because we don't want to like rate our members. Like we don't want to like, because it's not a business. That's not what this is. We do that just for our own information to make sure everything is going well. And right. Then we would contact them. So in the past, and this was many, many years ago, I had somebody who complained about the host. And she was just like this, you know, they just didn't do this and they didn't provide that and blah, blah, blah. And she was just like really upset. And I was like, okay, well, I'll call him. And so I called and talked to him, and the guy was like, oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. She was a pain in the ass. I couldn't do anything right. I offered her this and she didn't want that. So there's always two sides to every story, you know. So, but that we rely on the members to please each other. Other than that, that was literally the only time we've ever had any sort of an issue. You know, just don't have issues. Yes. Do we have an app? That's a good question. No. And so the reason is because when Z was developing this, it's a lot of work for not a lot of benefit, but he did make the website mobile friendly, so it's very easy on your phone. So there wasn't really a need for it either. So that's a good question though. Yes. I'm sorry.
And then the second one.
Yes, $20. Yep, it's $20. And there, I mean, if you're camping, are you saying
10.
you want to camp there?
Yeah, like.
Okay, yes. Yes, so the $20 because you're gonna be able to use the bathroom inside and they're gonna feed you breakfast. So you still offer it. They may not want it either, you know, but you always offer the $20. And it's $20 per night. So if you're staying a couple of nights, you offer $40. You know, so yes, but I mean, camping has gotten so expensive anymore. Like you can't even pitch a tent for $20. And some people just want to, they just want to camp. They just want a place to camp. And on the amenities that says camping, yes. So the breakfast is defined by the host. So if your version of breakfast is toast and coffee, then that's what you're gonna give them. And you can let people know that, you know, be like, but honestly, a lot of our members, you know, they're going to be up and moving pretty quickly. You know, Wes has got the 200 miles before breakfast, which I think is obscene because, like, again, I'm not getting up that early. So, yeah. He asked how many total members. Right now, we have 250 active members. So we don't have a ton. 35% of our members are in Canada. So we have a lot. We have 8 provinces, and like some of them are pretty far north. I doubt they'll get many requests, but you know, whatever, they can use it. And then about 3 months ago, I did a podcast. Well, I did Wes Fleming's podcast, Chasing Horizons, 2 years ago. So that's something you can listen to if you guys listen to the podcast. And then 2 months ago, I did one for ADV writers, and it was called the Lowdown Podcast. Neil, I can't remember Neil's last name. And so that's both a podcast and it's also on YouTube. And I don't even know where I was headed with that. Canada. And so thank you. So then after that podcast, he clearly has an international following because now we have a member in Costa Rica, we have a member in Mexico, we have a member in Greece, we have a member in Australia. We have like here and there, we have one member in several different countries. Yes. Yeah, I mean, and that's basically this, you know, we're talking basically the same thing. So one of the things I'd like to say is what MTN isn't. I want to make sure people understand this isn't Airbnb because it's not a rental, okay? And Airbnb isn't even cheap anymore. Remember when Airbnb started? And that was the other thing, that was sort of the great thing about Airbnb too, is that people are more familiar with that kind of concept, so this concept is easier. When we started in 2005, people were like, what? What? You're gonna stay at somebody's house? What? You know, it was but I was like, have you ever stayed in a bed and breakfast? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, well, it's probably somebody's house. People usually live there. So then, how many of you guys have heard of couch surfing? Okay, and bunka biker. Okay, so this is not, so couch surfing is, it's more for the 20-something backpacking crowd. I'm actually a couch surfer. I've used it more overseas. But it works great, but it's a lot more secure because you don't know exactly where those people are either. You have to do a request and all of that. With Bunka Biker, you don't have, like, the host information is just out there on the World Wide Web. You don't have to be a host. Their name, address, phone number, email address is for anybody to access. So they can just show up. So when I first heard about it, I was like, oh, I'll join that because I'm used to hosting. I worked for an exchange student program, and it's a revolving door at my house. So I was like, oh, this is great. But then as a single person, I was like, oh, nope, not doing that. But we do have members that use it, I often hear mixed reviews. The same thing with couch surfing. Couch surfing is great. It might be space on the floor for your sleeping bag. It might be a couch, but it might be a bed too. I just had some couch surfers come through a couple weeks ago from France, so that was really great. This is also not a dating app, and I want to make that really clear because I've had some people who have put in some, like in their profile pictures, some like really, really very, and I'm like, and then wrote some things, and I was like, no, that's not what this is. So I think you got the wrong people. The other thing too is it's not the anonymous book, okay? So the anonymous book, actually I should say the anonymous book isn't us. So because the anonymous book is supposed to be for an emergencies. I know that there are people that use it like it's a Motel 6 directory, and that's not what that is supposed to be. It really is supposed to be for emergencies. This is a little bit more planning ahead, so you're gonna, and some people really are like, they don't know where they're gonna be. They don't know, tomorrow they're gonna try to go, 400 miles or whatever, but they may not make it. If your host is 400 miles from you and you don't make it, then you call your host and say, I'm not gonna make it, and they're gonna understand because they're also motorcyclists. We have 250 members. So everybody who's in the network is a host. So the way I try to explain this is everybody in the network is a host. Every member is a host, but there's no hosting requirement because we can't guarantee that anybody will ever contact you. Probably 80% of our members don't get contacted. I haven't been contacted for 2 years. And so I'm in Indiana, the crossroads of America, which, it's not a destination people are going through, but I haven't been contacted. So we don't have a ton of people, and of those 250 people, then somebody has to be traveling wherever it is that you live. And some people just don't live in areas where there's going to be people traveling, I guess. So, and even those people that are in more popular areas, they really only get a couple a year, usually. But they're not required to host. If they get a request and they don't want to host, or they can't, or they're gone, or whatever, then they just decline the request. And then there's a space for them to say, oh, we'd love to host you, but we're out, or whatever. And as far as that goes, the other thing that we have, which is, I really love this is great, we have a pause button. So if you're gonna be gone, or we have snowbirds they're not gonna be home for 3 months or whatever, you can pause the listing. And that'll pause it for 30 days. Then if it's less than 30 days, then you can unpause it, or if it's more than 30 days, then you just put the pause back on. So the pause button, I think, is really great. So I'm going to go over a couple of other things. So on how this works. So as a host, we want to make sure that if you go out to dinner with your guests like the night before, and that happens a lot of times, people arrive and they're hungry and you're not going to feed them, you want to go out to dinner with them. It is always understood to be Dutch treat. We don't want anybody to feel obligated to buy the other's meal. So, and it's up to the host to, like if you're at a restaurant, to tell the server 2 checks. Because we don't want, I mean, it kind of defeats the purpose of, whatever. But if that said, like say that you didn't accept the $20, but then they wanted to buy you dinner, okay, that's fine. But if it's we just want to make sure that it's really clear that it's going to be Dutch treat. We don't want anybody to feel obligated. Then we often get the question about how often is required to host, and again, never. It just depends on if you get a request and if it's a good time. And I already told you breakfast was defined by the host. We've already gone over that. Okay, we did have a question about, and I've had this happen. Steve, were you in here? Yes. Okay. So one of our members joined in Richmond, and he was traveling shortly after that with his friend Scott, but Scott wasn't a member. And so he was like, is it okay if somebody, and so that happens, of course we hope that everybody that's traveling is a member, because you want to be able to see their listing. But that said, again, it is your home. If somebody contacts you and says, hey, I'm traveling with my buddy and they're not members, but can you put us both up? It's up to you. It's up to you. They're asking, you decide whether or not you're comfortable with that. So we try to make it so that, again, it's your home. And so we hope that everybody is a member, but if not, and you're traveling with another couple even or something like that, and they're not members, you ask the host if they're comfortable with that. It's $20 per couple, actually. We used to have a different rate for single, but we're just like, so it used to be $15 for a single person, but that was, who carries a 10 and a 5, right? So we just made it $20 for 1 or 2 people. Yeah, I know, that's old, yeah. Thank you for pointing that out. On the little orange card, it does say 15 for a single and 20 for, and that's because those are old. Yes. No, actually, we have some people that they use their RVs. We used to have a member, Jackie, out in Sausalito. I don't know if you ever stayed with her. She was in a houseboat in Sausalito.
Oh, I contacted her. I couldn't work it out.
Okay, yeah.
Her thing was beautiful.
Yeah, but it was small. So what she would do, she would give up her room and she would sleep on the couch. But she used it the other direction a lot too. So, and we have somebody right now who's in a houseboat. And I feel like there was one other sort of unique lodging that we had, but no, it's again, as long as you make clear what it is that you have to offer, and whatever, that's fine. As far as like the guest goes, immediately upon arrival is when you offer the $20. You want to do it immediately. Like don't hesitate to offer it. And again, you're offering. They're not going to ask for it, so you need to make sure you offer it. And then you don't have to be on a bike. I don't know if I said that, but the method of travel is however you're traveling. One of our former members, we call it people from the first MTN iteration, we call them our legacy members. And our legacy, he no longer rides, but he has a little Mazda Miata. And so he tells people, I'm going to be in a car. And so whatever works. When we worked the rally out in Oregon, I flew out there, and stayed with people. So it doesn't matter. I've actually seen some people who were in Colorado and a request from somebody like, can we come in this wintertime and go skiing? So yeah, whatever. Any other questions? So the question was lead time, how much time, you know, because it has to go through the system and then they have to see it on their email or their text message, and then they have to, you know, accept or decline. That said, we've got one member, Charlie, I think is from like Seattle or whatever, he uses it a lot, but he uses it so much that now he already has their phone number. He's already stayed with them, so he might just call them, you know, and that is something different. So, you know, honestly, I have seen everything from like, we're planning a trip in, you know, this is like in April, and we're planning a trip in July. I've seen that, to, you know, tomorrow. You know, so it's just, but the good thing is that I see those, and if the host hasn't responded, then I will reach out to the host. And so I like try to keep track and to make sure that they're responding, that they are letting you know. Okay, you know, I love that. Thank you for asking that. He asked, what's the best experience as a traveler and as a host? And I'm telling you, I have a ton, but I think what would be even better is if I let our members, and we have several members here. Don, you want to go first? So this is Don.
I've been a member for a long time.
Don, come stand up because we're recording this. So.
I've been a member for a long time, and when I first met them, they were handing out the little earplugs that I still have.
Yeah, I know.
and I was going to take a trip, and I thought this is a good way to travel. And I'm not much of a planner, so my best experience, I've had them all over the country.
Yeah, you have.
But I really feel better as a host. I love meeting people who I don't know or I haven't met before, and have them come to me and tell me their stories. And like Christi says, I get to tell my stories to people who've never heard them before.
Yeah,
All my friends have heard them.
Right. Somebody new to tell your same old stories to.
But it's such a comfortable way to travel. When you mentioned the girl in Sausalito, I really tried to get up with her, and our schedule just wasn't meeting. And she'd say, well, what about this day? I mean, she was trying to get me to come stay with her.
Right,
and
right.
it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
I've had the last minute stay in Raleigh, North Carolina with a truck driver and his wife on a farm. And I'm out in the middle of nowhere, but it was during the North Carolina State Fair, and you couldn't find a hotel anywhere.
Oh, I bet.
I get the book out. Oh, yeah, let me do this. And it was just fantastic. You know, they fixed me breakfast in the morning. Come back tonight if you need to.
Yeah.
It's just a wonderful way to meet people and to have a good time.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We stayed with some members. We were going up. They were up in northern New York, and we stayed with them. And it had just been raining and raining and raining. We'd just been riding in rain, and I was just so tired of it. I was like, I'm sure I'm growing mold back here somewhere. I was just like, it was just a constant. And so we had planned to stay with them. We rolled up, they had the garage door up, we pulled both of our bikes in, we parked. She met us with warm towels, and she was like, you know, go strip your clothes up, go take a shower, get warmed up. We got out, she came downstairs, she'd fixed a pot of chili, and she warmed us up, and you know, it was like, because she knew what that, you know, what that's like and what we'd been going through. And so, I mean, that's always that kind of stuff. And I have so many of like hosting experiences that just like, that is so interesting. And and our international members, a lot. We used to have a lot in Australia and New Zealand, and hope that we do again. And everybody always is excited when they get to host the international, you know, the international members. But actually hosted some of our New Zealand Kiwis maybe 10 years ago, I think. They had come here. They were Goldwing riders, and they came for their Goldwing rally. So. And she taught me how to make pavlova, and so yeah. I mean, it's so much fun. And one of the times when the MOA used to be located in Baldwin, Missouri. I don't know if you guys remember that. We had members there. They weren't BMW riders, but they happened to be there. And so we stayed with them. They were in the middle of, they were trying to sell off stuff, and they were moving. And so they were like, well, we're not going to fix you breakfast. We're going to take you to this place for breakfast. So we get in the car, and I swear I don't even know if we were in the same state by the time we got there. And so we get there, and we pull up, and it's like this old strip mall. And I don't even think the restaurant had a sign. I haven't been able to figure out where it was. We go in, and it's just like a bunch of truckers and like, firemen and all of that. And they said, order the ham and cheese omelet, but split it. And I thought, well, damn, that's kind of cheap. Because like on the menu, it was like $4 for a ham and cheese omelet. And I was like, okay, we're like, guess we will. Well, it came out, it was a 6-egg omelet with about a pound of ham and cheese, and it looked like half a football on the plate. I kid you not, with home fries and toast, and it was $4. This was a long time ago, but still, I have tried to find that place, and I can't find that place. Like I'm like, where was that place? And so I've like looked everywhere. Like, what's the best breakfast place around St. Louis? I don't know where it was. But just fun experiences like that, and it's when. The best part, though, is like we say, somebody new to tell your same old stories to, so because you've heard hers, she's heard yours, whatever. So, yeah. So, do you guys want to say we were having members that were standing up? We have some former members that have come in, and our current members. Yeah, please. Yeah. Yeah. Well, this guy said, what was your best and worst experience, or not your best hosting and best staying experience? Right. That's oftentimes what will happen is like, you stay with the host the first time and you offer them the $20, but then when you stay with them the second time, they're like, I'm not gonna take your $20, now we're friends. That feels weird, so. Yeah, I wish one of our members here, John, he was in one of my other seminars, and I know that they met another couple from another state, and they are lifelong friends now. They're BMW riders. They ride, they tour together and everything. But they met each other through Motorcycle Travel Network, and now they're just like great friends. Yes, question. So the $35 membership fee is to be a traveling and hosting member. If you're just hosting, it's free. We don't charge you just to host, because we're not going to charge you to open your home, because we need hosts. Okay, that's a good question. So he's saying he'd like to be a traveler, but he can't host. So right now we don't have it set up like that, because if you request to stay, they want to be able to see your profile, and if you don't have a profile because you're not hosting, there's not a way for us to do that. We are hoping that down the line, as we grow and we get more hosts, that we might be able to add like an associate membership. But we're not there yet, because we really need hosts. I mean, that's really what we need. Oh yeah, Steve did that. He said, can you join and then start using it? And I'm like, yes. And in fact, we would like for you to. And in fact, we have a lot more people that are members than are really using it. I think they forget about it. They sign up and then they forget to like really use it. And so yeah, use it. We love that. It is, and people are always like, well, how do you know they're not axe murderers? And I was like, listen, if I can't get photos from these 125, like, I know the axe murderers don't want to, give me their photos either. So, I'm not worried about things like that. But the other thing too, I lost my train of thought.
You're watching too much TV.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to have a pretty positive experience. We've had so few that have, we only have really had the one. So, any other questions? Okay. Well, so are you all going to sign up now? I hope so. I will say this, a lot of times, and it never is clear, but a lot of times one of the couple says, this sounds great, and the other was like, no way in hell. and it's never clear. Sometimes it's the husband that's like, this sounds great, and the wife is like, we're not doing that. And you're not doing it if she says so, and vice versa, But we used to have a couple where he was like very leery about it. He really was like, I don't know. But she talked him into it. And after their first experience, they were like, well, this was fun. And their first experience was hosting. And I think that helped. And then he was like, oh, that's kind of cool. So then they started using it. And the other thing I say, if that's the situation, is like, if you're uncomfortable about staying with somebody, then just stay with a member that's close. And then if like, okay, this isn't for me, then you just get up and go back home, And so just to try it, if it's like, if one of the people was uncomfortable. Okay, thank you all so much for coming. I really appreciate it. Yep. Oh.